How's it going, guys? So, we are back for another episode of Legacy Dialogues, where I like to bring you individuals that can help pour into you in various different levels, be it personal, be it financial, be it entrepreneurial, pour into you so that you can learn more information, gather more knowledge to be able to implement into your life and create the legacy that you desire to create. Now, we have a little bit of a change of scenery today. I ended up being outside of the house and not able to get back in time enough. So I am set up outside of the local public library. But we're going to bring to you a gentleman that I've known since 2018. And from the first time I heard him speak, I knew he was different when it came to the space that he was occupying. I'm not going to go too deep into it right now. I'll let him kind of speak to it, and you learn it from him as we go throughout today's episode. So, without further ado, Wayne Marcel, blockchain Wayne, how's it going, man?
Hey, Brian, doing good, man. Thanks for having me on
Nice,
today, man.
man. I appreciate you showing up, man. Not that I had any doubts that you would. As I was just mentioning to the people, I saw that you were different from the jump. Um, whereas a lot of people in this space, when it comes to cryptocurrency. A lot of people are all about the hype. They're all about, I'm not wanting to get in front of the camera unless you're paying me X amount and it's got to be in this coin. And I'm going to pump the energy around this specific coin. But you're one of the individuals that from the jump, me coming from an academic background, I'm really big about educating people around the things that they're interested in instead of just throwing something at them saying, hey, try this. So you are an expert, in my eyes at least, when it comes to the cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web3 space. I actually got involved in that space probably about not even six, probably about 5 months before I met you. And it was perfect timing because you were the first person in my personal life that I kind of started learning from. And I feel like that was a great foundation for me. So, with that being said, um, kind of just give the people a little bit about your background as it pertains to cryptocurrency, where you are currently, and like what are you looking to do in this space in the long run?
Yeah, absolutely. Crazy to think it's been 7 years since we first linked up and started talking.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, my background. Just start with my intro to crypto, man. I came into the space in 2016 as just kind of looking at trying to test the waters, invest like most people are doing, wanting to make a little bit of money. And I went down this whole rabbit hole of trying to understand why Bitcoin had value, and then or how our financial systems operate. And that just opened my eyes to a host of problems that Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies can solve. But then it also um, exposed me to a lot of the scams that were out there as well. And I realized there needs to be, some kind of education on this. This is something new. We don't have anything really to compare this to as to, oh, this is just like that. No, this is something new, completely different, and new technology. It's a rough adoption cycle, but better technology always wins out if you study history. And so that's kind of how I started my efforts. Was as I started to learn a little bit, I started to teach others. And in 2017 I started to have the idea of, okay, I wanted to do that more often. So I was helping more people get started, helping them understand some of the basics. And then from there, that led to me putting out a little book on Amazon, a beginner's guide for just getting started in crypto, and then also launching a podcast under the same name of the book, which is from no crypto to no crypto. So from NO to KNOW. And from there, it just kind of snowballed into working with different groups, organizations, teaching the basics of crypto. And you're right. What I felt was different was I saw a lot of these what we call influencers out there, and none of the influencers have lasted the test of time. If you look back throughout history, right? They all have crumbled. They've become corrupted. So, and I think a lot of them may not have started out to be corrupt, but when people flash a lot of money, like you got a big following, we'll pay you, a lot of money to market us to your community. It leads to a lot of disingenuous stuff out there, and it's not really education. It's people blindly following someone and then getting, people getting hurt in the end, because this technology has such huge potential, but there's a lot of potential for scams, as with any new technology. As it comes out, there's that potential. And so I focused on education. I focused on, after that was outside of doing the podcast, I was working with a lot of different individual companies to help them build educational products and tools and courses. So in other words, if there's a certain cryptocurrency project or platform or something you're going to, they should have their own education to teach people the basics that are trying to get started. And so that's what I was doing for quite a while. That eventually led to holding some conferences in the space, where in Miami we did a few conferences. Funny enough, our first conference we did, Rick Ross opened up the conference, and I saw just today he announced he's launching a meme coin on his verified socials through video like that. Well, I can talk more about meme coins if you want, because that's kind of there's a lot to know about that space. It's very risky. It's kind of like your gambling side. But anyway, so did those conferences, led to me meet more people, more companies in the industry, and then about 3.5 years ago, decided to jump, guys. Yeah, I guess it was around that time, 3.5 years ago, to jump full time into this industry to help run a company called FIO Protocol. So FIO focuses on simplifying the user experience in wallets. We hide a lot of the complexities from the user, and our protocol gets used in a lot of wallets and exchanges. And it lined up perfectly with what I was wanting to do, right? I want to bring more people into the space and hit mass adoption of this technology. We need education and we need simple user interfaces. So it lined up. And so I left that 24-year career that I was doing prior that was not even related to crypto or tech to jump in full time. And so now, I mean, a lot of what I do is travel around teaching people about crypto and also teaching people about what our protocol is and finding partners that want to partner with us and use our protocols in their tools and their products.
I love it, man. So I know there's somewhat of a flow that we wanted to take for today, but as you know me, I like to keep it organic. So just thinking about what you just mentioned, you left a 24-year career doing something completely unrelated to what you're doing now. So there's lots of people that get into the entrepreneurship space and they prematurely leave their career to jump off into an endeavor.
Yeah.
So, as it pertains to education and understanding the importance of education, how long of a process did it take you from the beginning of developing something in this space, in the entrepreneurial realm, to transitioning all the way out of that full time job?
It was around 4 to 5 years, and I really think about, so I hadn't really made the decision that I wanted to work in this industry full time until mid 2018. I hit a conference in LA. If you think about 2018 and you were following the cryptocurrency space, that was what we call a bear market. So you have bear and bull markets, right? Bear market, prices are going down, prices are kind of crashing, those market cycles. And then a bull market is when everything's really going up. Well, 2018 prices were crashing, right? And so I had pretty good conviction as to what this was, but I wanted to solidify that belief. So I hit a couple of conferences, and it was at a conference in LA in 2018 called Crypto Invest Summit that it really struck me. This is an industry I want to work in. This has huge future, because even though market prices were going down, I met so many people at that conference that were building in the space, and even heard people like Tim Draper and Steve Wozniak from Apple and others talk about crypto. Made me realize it doesn't matter what the market's doing in the short term as far as price. This is going to be big. And that's when I decided I wanted to work in this industry. So then when I made that decision, I started to take different steps to move into that space. And the biggest problem with most entrepreneurs that they have is there's no microwave button, right? I can't fast track this. And you hear about people that jump right in head first without much planning, and they're wildly successful. And that's really the exception and not the norm. And I think, maybe if I was in a different part of my life, I probably could have done that, because, depending on your age, you've got time, even if you lose everything, to rebuild, right? And you hear a lot of success stories like that, where it starts with failure and then rebuilding themselves. For me at the time, I was in a different spot, my wife, 4 kids, and I was at a spot where I couldn't do anything without ensuring that I could still take care of them as well. So I guess it's really about different people's um, spot in life, but
Hmm.
it starts with a decision. And when you make that decision, then you start to identify those steps that are going to get me closer to what do I need to learn, what I need to do, who do I need to connect with, where do I need to network. You can do all of that, and that progress you to where you need to be. Another thing I see in this age that most people need to do, like the podcast. My podcast, even though I've probably, the cost to produce my podcast versus what I made on, I probably haven't made a cent from the podcast itself. it's led to so many opportunities, so many business partners, so many different deals. And I think that's a piece of it too that people should look at. Doing that is start creating your brand, your content, not necessarily someone else's company. Think about what you can do. Funny enough,
Hmm.
yesterday we were getting dressed for dinner with the family. We were going out to see my sisters and my mom and my stepdad. And I was putting on my shirt. My wife's like, "Do you have any shirt that doesn't have Bitcoin or on it?" And I'm like, "Why would I wear those brands like Calvin Klein and Balenciaga and all these others? They're not paying me. Like FIO is a company I run half of, so this one's it's my brand. Bitcoin is open source, and it's kind of where I go, right? So
Look,
yeah,
now if I wasn't freezing right now, this
yeah,
would be showing to the public. You
yeah.
gotta rep your own brand,
Where
man.
your brand? Well, I'm going to wear all these designer brands that those names don't do nothing for me. They don't pay me anything. So why not? Why not rep your own brand?
Hmm. Exactly. So yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned a lot of that because oftentimes when people are looking to become an entrepreneur, when people are looking to become financially secure, so to say, they usually jump on the opportunity of the first guru that comes their way. Typically, that guru is going to teach you how to do it the way that they did it. So now this is, and you'll know some of the people as I make reference to them. I won't say names, but there's a certain individual that's part of our network that gained the initial part of his massive success that really pulled attention to him when he was childless. He didn't have any kids. He was with someone. I don't know if he was married or not at the time. I don't think he was, but he was childless. He was not married. So, as you mentioned, when you're at certain stages, you can make certain sacrifices.
Mm,
Whereas when you have multiple kids, when you have a mortgage, when you have all of these responsibilities, you have to move differently. This gentleman, he mentions in his story that he was homeless for a while. Like if you got multiple kids and a significant other, you can't be homeless for a while.
right.
So understanding, let me figure out, or let me watch, let me tune into multiple different specialists in this space so that I can figure out, okay, I can utilize this portion of his story, this portion of his approach, that portion of her approach, and figure out how it's going to work for me. So
Absolutely.
I'm glad that you mentioned that. So now getting into the cryptocurrency space, and let's just look at we'll say the first 10 years or so. Obviously, when we first get into a new space that most people around us don't know us for, it's difficult to get that support from those who are closest to us. It was once said by a guy that I have a lot of respect for. He's actually in the MLM space, but he was doing a training once, and he said friends and family won't start to support you until strangers start celebrating you. So,
Yeah.
how was that phase for you, specifically when it comes to cryptocurrency? Because people are still to this day saying it's a scam, like it's has no future. How was
Yeah.
that transition of friends and the family actually getting on board with the fact that you were dedicated to this space?
Yeah. It's definitely easier for most people now because, I mean, you look at phases of government and business, and everybody's talking about cryptocurrency and blockchain now.
Mhm.
But yeah, man, like years ago, 9 years ago, I was crazy. I was, it was, you're going to lose all your money. What are you doing? This is not real. And it's funny enough, when I started podcasting, that's when I came up with the name Blockchain Wayne, right? And I started podcasting under that, and I did have some friends and stuff that made fun of the name. Oh yeah, that's funny. And now it's funny because it's stuck. Because now when I see people around the world at different conferences, that's what they know me as, right? As Blockchain Wayne. So it kind of stuck. But you're right. I mean, it's your friends and family. They know you the most. They're going to be your biggest critics. They know your failures. They know your successes, and that's usually your biggest skeptics, and that's kind of who, if I'd have listened to them, listen to like my multiple brother-in-laws that were telling me like, hey, you don't need to do that, that's probably not, that's not gonna make it, you're gonna lose all your money, that type of thing. I probably would have, but I learned something a long time ago from a mentor. This was even before I got into crypto, which was don't take any advice on a topic unless the person giving that advice is qualified to speak on it. So if someone's talking to me about tech, my brother-in-law is giving me advice on tech and digital currencies and investments. They know nothing about it. So why am I going to take their advice, right? They've had no success in that field. And that's not a knock on them. It's just that their life has been different. And so that's when I realized it's all in about who you're listening to. You got to make sure that you're listening to the right people. And you're right. I mean, strangers will cheer you along. Your family will try to knock you down, and they think they're trying to be protective, right? So you can't listen to that. And that's where, things will get easier. But I always tell people, outside of just family and friends, when you're dealing with new technology and innovation, look at history. Brian, do you think the first people that put light bulbs in their house, electricity in the house, you think they were like, oh, this is the greatest thing?
Oh no, we're gonna burn this place down.
Burn the house down, right? First vehicle come out. I think everybody's like, oh, we've got a car. Let's everybody get one.
That's
No, look,
witchcraft.
there's no paved roads. That's a death trap on wheels. We got perfectly good horses. Why do you need that? Every technology is ridiculed. The internet in the 90s was just a passing fad. Imagine
Mm-hmm.
that, right? And then think about the same concept. The internet's only used by computer programmers and computer geeks, right? Then the internet's only used by criminals. Then the internet's, only, not really used for business. And now look at where we are today. And that same narrative has played through crypto. Crypto was only for the computer geeks and nerds. Crypto was only for criminals. Now crypto, it's becoming more and more mainstream. And we're seeing that same progression over time. And when you look back on technology, like most of us don't know that struggle because we didn't experience it, of those technology adoption cycles. And the one about the scams and the criminals is the fun one, because I say criminals always use the most cutting edge technology because they're trying to evade the law. They're trying to get away with something,
Mm-hmm.
right? Think about, how did NASCAR come about? That was from bootleggers
Mm.
trying to run moonshine. They needed fast cars. And so, yeah, I mean, criminals are always going to levitate towards the latest technology because they're trying to get an edge on whatever they're trying to do.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's just so important to understand is when you have those critics that are swaying you away from something that you're committed to, go and get some mentorship from those who actually know the space. Don't necessarily listen to those too intently who are trying to sway you away. Now, be respectful because to a certain degree, you have to understand their perspective. They are speaking on the fact that they know who you were up until today. And
Yeah.
if what you're doing, what you're proposing to them today, isn't in alignment with what they know you to be successful for, it's going to be hard for them to bring you or for you to bring them on board to actually understand. And that's one of the major reasons why we have to learn how, and specifically for people who are in the entrepreneurship space, learn how to build a brand new network. Go out and market yourself. Go out and brand yourself to where you develop a brand new strangers who don't know you from who you were. All they know is the path that you're on right now and the vision that you're painting. And if
Yeah.
they can buy into that, there's your support system. So on that front, kind of speak to what that transition looked like, and we could say from the relational perspective, then also from the professional perspective. I know you mentioned that the comments from the in-laws and such, but once you started to gain that traction of success, what did the conversations look like inside the household, and then also the conversations with the new professionals that you were encountering as you really got your footing in the space?
Yeah, I mean, the conversations, obviously, as you start to see more and more adoption, and most people are swayed by price, right? So as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies appreciated in value, a lot of those had some, some come back and tell me, they were sorry for what they said. I had, it's funny. One recently just said, I was, man, I got lucky with Bitcoin. I'm like, man, I get lucky. That was, that was a lot of work and effort and belief. But it's important. And it's yeah, like family and friends, you still have those family and friends, but you got to look at your circle too of who you're around. Being around those professionals, being around people like you and Chris and others that are professionals in your own way, like we all learn different things from each other. You guys learn from me, I learn from you. You find those circles and those networks where you can, that support who you're becoming and not support who you were in the past. And that's
Hmm.
why, like, if you're trying to build a business or be an entrepreneur and start something amazing, if you're still hanging out with, getting drunk with, friends every Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, on the weekends, you're still stuck with that same crowd. You're not going to have a different mindset I got to do what I got to do. Right. And so you've
Hmm.
got to surround yourself with those people that are going to support where you're going. And so, yeah, the conversations have changed, and I started to focus more on what I could do to build that skill to become where I wanted to be, like what I wanted to do in the space. Like, I'm not a developer, I'm not a coder, so I'm not building cryptocurrency tools, but where I was able to also look at some of my strengths that I had from past careers, past jobs in terms of leadership, marketing, business development. Those were kind of the tools I'm like, man, there's a huge need here. And so that's how I was able to transition into doing this thing full time and leaving that career. But yeah, it's all about the people you surround yourself with. So if you're not getting the right message from the right people, find your crew. And it can be tough conversations, but you got to evaluate your friend group. And I don't mean that to be harsh, but say, is this a collection? Like, are there other people in my friend group that I'm still learning from that I want to be with? If not, that's fine. Like, hang out every now and then, but find those
Hmm.
people, surround yourselves. Even in cryptocurrency, like, there's so many skeptics that we get from friends and family in general, from anybody, that these conferences that we go to are great. And then also there's local meetups. And so I challenge people, find local meetups. Like we have, in New Orleans, we have a Bitcoin meetup once a month where we all get together. We can talk about Bitcoin and crypto without being looked at like we're crazy.
Hmm. Yeah, man, that's what it's all about. It's surrounding yourself with the right people. So, along those lines, just to kind of keep us moving, speak to the people on some of the different ways to actually start getting their feet or their hands wet when it comes to the cryptocurrency space. Um, and then, kind of, I guess you would say, segue into some of the primary things to look out for whenever you're first getting started.
Yeah. So I always start with this, like your level of investment in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency should match your level of understanding. So I'm not saying if you don't know anything, don't do anything, but you got to start dipping your toes in the water. Don't come in and because somebody says you buy this particular coin or token and you're going to become a millionaire in 6 months. Don't fall for that hype. Anybody that offers to trade for you or tells you get a guaranteed return, you got to avoid all of those. Those are all scams, traps you want to avoid, and you want to start learning. You want to find out the basics of what. For me, it was I studied the Federal Reserve. You know, a lot of people now are starting to realize the problem with inflation and their Federal Reserve and our monetary system. I went down that rabbit hole in 2016, and I was like, for lack of a better, I was like, holy crap, I don't understand this Bitcoin thing yet, but we got problems and
Hmm.
we've got to fix this. And so go there. I'll give a plug too, because something over the years, myself and a few others, we've built some different educational products for different companies, like basic education about how to get started in crypto, what's a wallet, all these different basics. And some of those companies are still around and some of them aren't. So we took some of the courses that we've created and we built a free course on School. If you're familiar with School, SKOOL, school.com, you can go there. We've got a community there called Learn Vault, and we've got a free course in there where we compiled some of that past content, and we're constantly adding to it. We're about to drop a new course called Get Off Zero, which is your basics of getting started, and it starts with just a little bit understanding the mechanics of it, how to set up an exchange account, how to set up a crypto wallet, security basics. Most people don't realize how important security is, and that's not just with crypto; that's in general, right? How many people Brian, have the same password for everything, or their password is their kid's name and their birth date? You know,
Hmm.
you got to get serious about security, um, and then start to learn some of the basics. And so but seek education, and that's why I'm giving you an outlet. If you don't know where to go, come to our community there. What I like about School is we can post courses in there, we can set up live videos, and then there's also a community chat in there where you can either pose a question or you can look at some of the past questions that have been asked, or stuff that's been posted, and comment and reply on that. So finding the
Exactly.
right spot, and then as you learn more, you'll be able to do better. And always look at the person giving you advice. If somebody's telling you need to invest in something, that's a red flag right there. I'm not going to tell you need to invest in anything. I'm going to give you the information and you can make that decision. I'll tell you why Bitcoin is important, what the future of it looks like, in my opinion. And, if you ask me about a different cryptocurrency, I'll give you my personal opinion on it. But at the end of the day, the person that's most responsible for your investments is the person looking in the mirror,
Hmm.
and that's what you got to realize. And on top of that, if you're looking at this from a career standpoint, there's a lot of opportunity in this industry. companies are growing. They're looking not just for developers. They're looking for marketers. They're looking for business development, and or at least learn how to leverage the tools to future proof your business. Brian, think about back in the early 2000s. If a business was online, what do we call them? They were an internet
Uh,
company, right?
yeah,
And today, do we still call anybody an internet company?
they're just a company.
Everybody's online. They're just a company.
Yeah.
Same thing today. There's crypto companies, blockchain, Web3 companies. Those are all buzzwords around this industry, right? But 10, 15 years from now, are we going to have crypto and Web3 companies? Or are we just going to have companies? And some of them leverage crypto, Web3, blockchain for different aspects of their business. So no matter what industry you're in right now, this is going to creep into that as the next phase of what you're doing, whether you're in the restaurant business, whether you're, personal development, whether you're building some kind of brand, you will be exposed to crypto. So learning about the basics now, even if you don't invest now, even if you just learn the basics, and you can set up infrastructure to where you could be ahead of the curve. And so instead of one day you're like, holy crap, I'm not set up to accept crypto, or I'm not set up to leverage this Web3 tool, you're already ahead of the curve and you've got it. Instead of chasing it down, everybody's trying to get on it. Look at those companies that were just completely dismissed social media 15 years ago. I don't need social
Hmm.
media. I'm a plumber. I'm a construction business. Why do I need a social media page? And now some of those are struggling to figure this thing out because they realize, holy crap, I'm behind. I need to get set up on social media. Don't let that same thing happen to you with crypto and Web3. We're still super early. The internet technology is old. It's been around for a long time. Bitcoin is only 16 years old, sweet 16, and that's not a very long time for technology. And so everything since Bitcoin has been some iteration or alteration of what Bitcoin does, tailored for different use cases, different purposes. And so all of those are fairly new. And so taking advantage of that now before it's too late. So that's my call to action. Everybody is learn the basics, get involved. And that way you're kind of future proofing yourself to as this become more and more. I will say kind of marry that with AI because AI is doing some amazing things right now. But AI can't really be truly effective without blockchain technology behind it. And blockchain technology can really thrive and benefit from utilizing AI as well. So that's kind of like a symbiotic relationship I've been telling people
Yeah,
lately.
I love it, man. And I have taken advantage of the AI space. But real quick, that platform where they can get in and learn from you
Yeah.
guys, is that a school.com/learnvault?
Yeah. Yeah. So SKOOL school.com/learn vault. Be a blue and white logo, and that's where myself. So we've got my friend Chelsea from Lafayette, Louisiana. Her and I have been friends long before crypto. We got in around the same time in 2016. And then you've got we got a few others that we brought in. Elmer, who people may know from the group. Elmer does a lot of our stuff. He's going to be really valuable for the Spanish content. And we're just looking to grow basic education. Like the community is free to join. We may add a few courses that are paid, but those courses are going to be very low in cost and really just to cover our cost to continue to bring out platforms because we realize there's a big gap in education out there. There's a lot of people you can go to YouTube and try to learn from, but it's about trust, right? You got to go with who you trust. And I think most YouTubers are trying to get views by making these shocking claims that you can, make 100x on this next investment instead
Yeah,
of let's say, I mean, education is not sexy. It's important, but it's not sexy. So
exactly.
that's why we like to focus on that. It's probably why I didn't build a big influencer brand with millions of followers is because I didn't want that. Like I saw the downfalls of that. And I'd rather just be, creating infrastructure and content for people to learn.
Got it. I love it, man. So, kind of a different question. So, you started studying. So, what year would you say you really started to take it serious and studying and understanding this crypto space?
It was late 2016, early 2017 was when I really started to get in and study. 2016, bought my first few Bitcoin, and that's when I realized I didn't really understand Bitcoin and understand why it was
Hmm.
important. But yeah, and I think 2017 was when I really um, buckled down. I remember to this day, it was January in 2017 when I went into a crypto exchange and I set a recurring buy of $50 of Bitcoin every Friday. And that was every Friday, every week, no matter what, it was buying $50 worth of Bitcoin. That's still running to this day.
All
Uh,
right, stop,
yeah,
stop.
yeah.
Say that again for the people in the back.
So it's called dollar cost average. Basically, I set up a recurring buy every Friday, $50 of Bitcoin. Do the math. That's only $200 a month. I think over this time period, that's probably been maybe about $18,000 to $19,000 that's gone in. But it's, for me, it's like that 401k approach. So when Bitcoin's dipping, I don't care because I'm buying every week, right? Price going up, price going down. I'm happy either way. And I can tell you though, Brian, if you do the math on that, that has turned into like I think it's like 1.6 or 1.7 Bitcoin. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the price of Bitcoin being around, right under 100K right now, you can do the math on that. But that was, and that's kind of how I teach most people to get into. If you're going to want to know how to get started in investing, I'm not going to tell you to drop your life savings into anything. But that 401k approach to me, you don't care about the volatility of the market in the short term because I'm not investing for today. I'm not selling tomorrow. I'm thinking I need to accumulate this for the future. And that's important. So that's a dollar cost average approach. That's what we teach too. That's not that we came up with that, but it's a really great strategy when you think about it.
Got you. Now that's part one of a larger question I'm about to ask, but I want to ask a smaller question in that. So speak very quickly um, the storm that came through that wiped you guys out, the house a couple years ago. Speak to how your involvement in cryptocurrency was able to help you sustain and bounce back from that specific situation.
Oh yeah. So you're talking about with the hurricane?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was a big thing. Living in South Louisiana, right outside of New Orleans, we had a hurricane that ripped off a good part of our roof in 2021, and the whole house had to be gutted. We couldn't live in the house. Actually, had to sell some Bitcoin at that time to get an RV that we needed to be able to live in while the house was being gutted and repaired, which took almost a year. And just having what I do here, it really helped me a lot because I was bringing in additional income. I was able to sustain ourselves with that and being able to get the money that I needed right away. And that's what people think. Oh, if I get into Bitcoin, is it hard to get out if I need my money? I don't advise anyone, like it's better to hold Bitcoin for the long term, but I was in a position where I needed some fast cash and I was able to liquidate it and have the money in the bank within 20 minutes and be able to go make that
Mm,
deposit on the RV that we needed to live in. So it's just it's all about saving for a rainy day too. That's why people want to invest. That's why people want to do it. And as much as I like to continue to stack Bitcoin, if something comes along, the whole point of investment is to be able to have those funds to do what you want to do, save for a rainy day, plan something, change something. So that's why you got to start thinking about the future. What's that saying, Brian? It's the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today, right?
right
So
now. Yep.
start planting that tree
Exactly.
now. You can't say, "Oh, I need shade next year, so I'm not even going to plant the tree." You don't know what's going to come past that.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's real. And just that statement in and of itself. That's why I named my company Your Legacy Begins Now. Because there's a lot of people out there who took advantage, who were born into wealth, who were born into success. But the next best time is to start right now.
Yeah.
Because the future is only going to be that which you develop it to be starting right now. So kind of going back to that question, I asked you, you started to take Bitcoin seriously, educating yourself on it seriously, and investing in around 2016, 2017.
Mm.
You were still working at your full-time job. Approximately how many years did it get how many years did it take to you started to be one of those sought after um, experts or authority figures when it comes to Bitcoin? And I mention this because I know you fly all around the world on a regular basis now because of your expertise in this space, but it didn't happen day
No.
one. So, what was that process like from when you took it seriously to when you started flying around the world being an authority figure in this space?
Yeah, I mean, it was around 4 years to start where I really started to get some traction, and people recognize me as my knowledge and what I was sharing in terms of cryptocurrency and blockchain. So I would say from 2016 to late 2020, early 2021 was when I really started to pick up traction.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just putting yourself out there, networking. Like that's the other thing too. Most people don't put enough emphasis on is networking. That's another reason I mentioned podcasting, man, because you got somebody, if you think about somebody that you really want to work with or do business with, or somebody you want to be in their network, what's the best way to connect with that person? You can reach out to them and ask for a meeting, right? But
Yeah,
you're asking to take something from them. But if I say,
exactly.
hey, come on my podcast, come share what you're doing, come talk about yourself. I'm starting that relationship by saying, hey, here's what I can offer you, and
Hmm.
that's important. And we've all got these platforms. I mean, it doesn't. You don't have to have a studio set up. Like, I got a green screen right now. I mean, you're sitting in front of a library, and this is just as
Yeah,
impactful as that. So, but yeah, I mean, it was at least 4 years, of just kind of put myself out there, being a student, reaching out to people, and the whole time you're learning. Like I'm learning, but I'm also sharing what I learn with others as well. And so
yeah.
I had a
And
bit. I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say I'm glad you mentioned the podcasting aspect because that is one of the most powerful ways to network. So you network, you get to know the person, you allow the person, hey, look, I have a community, I have a platform. I want
Yeah.
you to share your value to my community. We can share it to your community as well. In that process, you're strengthening that relationship. And at the same time, if you have it set up properly, you mentioned some of the things that you do, so people from their community, hey, let me reach out to that guy. Maybe he can help me with XYZ. And
Hmm.
at the same time, the people who I have, hey, I got to connect with that. It's a symbiotic relationship, but you have to do it the right way. You have to come into it with the right intentions. And just for me, I started doing this Legacy Dialogues the 30th of December. And I've had random people jump into my inbox. Hey, I saw you're live with such and such. I
Hmm.
need help with this. And they became instant clients.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, man, because that's the thing. I did a video on it when I was working on my master's degree. How the saying is, it's not what you know, it's about who you know.
Hmm.
You got to get out there and get to know some new people because you never know what table they're going to welcome you to. And once you get to that table, then it's about the what you know. But you got to get to the table
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. There's something that prefaces like what I've done in crypto, and it was a few years before that. I paid a coach to do some. It was a program, but it was more than a program because he took some of Bob Proctor's teachings and
Hmm.
married that into his own concept of stuff. And it's about being intentional, and most people are not intentional. Everybody, they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to start a business, they want to do better in life, but they haven't defined what better looks like. And I think before this, and it was perfect timing, before I really dove down this rabbit hole of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, going through that coaching, I realized, one, you got to have goals and you got to write them down. Right? Most people don't
Hmm.
even have goals, and the ones that do don't even write it down. And then you got to envision what that looks like. And so then you get into that concept of, okay, when I make a decision of what I want to do in the future, I can get that vision in my head of what that looks like. What does success look like? And then you can take the steps, or at least recognize those steps when they're in front of you. If you don't have a clear vision of what you want, those steps that'll help you get where you need to go, you're oblivious to them when they're right in front of you if you don't have any of that defined. So
Hmm.
that, no matter what you're doing, that's important. And I
Yeah.
found the journal. In fact, I got it right here on my desk. It was from 2016, and I was journaling every day as to what my life would look like.
Mm.
And this was early. I mean, this was early for my crypto journey. And it's funny, some of the stuff I put in there is what I'm living today in terms of speaking on stages all over the world, right? Having a book, having a podcast, just working full time in an industry where I have time freedom. And I do travel a lot, but I do dictate where and when I want to travel and where I go. So it was funny to find that the other day and look back and say, like, everything I wrote in that book has come true because I was journaling every day and I had a picture of what I wanted.
Yeah. And, I'm glad that you mentioned that because we see these gurus, and I shared this on in a group this morning with a lady that I met through this networking. I met her. She bounces between like somewhere in Central Time in New York, but she has a global position, like disaster related global positions. She travels a whole lot, doing a whole lot of work around the world. Anyways, she sent me or she dropped this video in a private group that I'm part of that she welcomed me into this morning, and it was Joe Dispenza, and he was talking about metacognitions and just like how the brain works, because there's so much science behind what we're talking about here, behind the
Yeah.
network, and behind writing things down, behind how the brain processes when you write things down, when you speak about it, when you visualize it. There's things that happen And your brain, that a lot of gurus just kind of take it and just throw it out there without understanding the science behind it. These things are scientifically proven. Whereas you can be listening to a song and writing down a goal 10 years in the future, you listen to that song, that goal can pop up in your head because there's that connection. And when you do it consistently over time, your brain starts to incorporate it with various different aspects of your life that's going on at that time. So it continues to feedback to you and feedback to you. And eventually, your brain only knows that to be your reality.
Yeah.
But unless you write it down, unless you talk about it, unless you paint that clear vision, like you say, you never know the steps that are going to be necessary.
Yeah.
And with a lot of my clients, whenever I go into working with them to start a business, to develop or grow their business, I ask them, so in 3 to 4 years, what is your life going to look like? And I need you to paint a crystal clear picture. I need to be able to close my eyes and see myself in this life that you're telling me, because only then will we know, ah, crap, well, I can't do this, that, and the third if that is the life that I desire. I have to do this within X number of years if that's the life that I desire within 5 years. So you have to see the vision. It's kind of like hopping on an airplane. You never even know what direction to go in as a pilot if you don't know what the destination is.
Right.
So would you go on a plane without knowing the destination? So why are you going on this journey of entrepreneurship when you don't know the destination?
Yeah.
So yeah, man, and it really, that's one of the things that we can start to segue into, the aspect of and we'll definitely have you come back and go deeper in certain areas, but that's one of the important aspects of just education in general, because when you get properly educated, it's easier to understand, okay, what should my vision be based off of the life that I desire. So let's kind of go into the area of, for one, you mentioned earlier, people oftentimes will say, hey, pay me X amount, plug X amount into my program. We'll trade on your behalf, we'll buy on your behalf, and we guarantee you every month you get this back in return. You get this back in return. So when you properly educate yourself, for one, you should understand that that's BS. They can't make those promises.
Yeah.
But for two, it makes you more and more lazy and more susceptible for someone to take advantage of you. So kind of give, just based off of your experience so far, some of the most prevalent scams in the cryptocurrency space that you've seen, and what are some things that people can do to kind of avoid them?
Yeah. So a lot of them are a real iteration of kind of what you're talking about. Someone's reaching out to you, wanting you to either invest in some trading, mining, some combination of different things. And in some cases, they're guaranteeing a return. Big red flag. Stay away from those completely. Don't use anything other than verified platforms, because sometimes they'll send people to fake websites now that may look like a
Mm-hmm.
trading exchange. And I've seen it where someone thought they had this huge balance that they had accumulated in crypto, and really they didn't. They got scammed. There was just a fake balance on a screen. A iteration of that is they may even reach out through people that you know. So if someone's reaching out to you on Messenger or somewhere else, and you know that person, um, and you have their cell phone number, call them directly. A lot of times people accounts will get hacked, and then those people that are hacking those accounts will reach out. And so it kind of lowers people's guard to where they think they're talking to somebody that they're not. And whether that's
Mm-hmm.
a duplicated account, fake account. Another one lately has been a Coinbase scam. So Coinbase is a legitimate exchange, but there's people calling saying there's an issue with your Coinbase account. You need to change your password right away. Send you a link, or I'll have you do this, and I need you to move your money to this wallet. And people fall for that, and it's the same thing. Like um, if somebody is calling you saying they're from Coinbase and you have an account on Coinbase, one, they're not going to call you. What's funny was they tried calling me, not too long ago, and it's before I could. They were pretty convincing, but at the same time, I knew I never gave Coinbase my phone number, so there's no reason
Mm-hmm.
they even could be calling me. So it's just that don't let greed. A lot of times there's red flags that people see, but they'll let their greed overpower that red flag. Always stop. Always
Mm-hmm.
ask a question. Reach out if you don't know. Reach out. Hit me up. See, hey, this is the scenario. This is what you think. I've stopped so many people from getting scammed through different things just by saying no, that doesn't work. That doesn't line up. Or there was one other day. Well, actually, I looked up the website address and the data on their website address, and they're saying this company's been doing this for years, and their website was just created on December 26th of last
Mm.
year, right? Not even 3 months ago. And so there's a lot of different things you can do to figure those out. But the biggest thing is don't send anybody your money. Don't invest in or send crypto to any platform or program that hasn't been vetted. And if you have questions, just reach out because they're going to try. The best thing about crypto is you have 100% control and ownership of your funds, but with that comes responsibility to do the right thing because you can't. It's not like your bank, like, oh, somebody got hold of my credit card number, my bank's going to give me the money back. No, there's no recourse for that. The best thing to do is to protect it. But 99.9% of the time, it's some type of scam where they're going to offer you to make more money, guarantee an amount. Another one that's big popular lately too to avoid is like I'll tell you this, look, guys, if some smoking hot girl is offering to help you learn how to trade, I'd probably question that because I've seen it happen. I'm not saying that to be sexist or anything, but I've seen it happen. And then the same thing with ladies, if guys are reaching out to you, because I've seen that as well. They call that it's the term for it is like a pig butchering scam. They'll lead with an element of romance and then get you to try to invest in them. So you want to stay away from those as much as possible. So that's about it. You there, B?
Hold on just a second. All right, so I had a phone call come through.
Oh,
Um,
I think it
I
was
heard
still I
you.
was still talking, so I think it still went through. I was still on the screen.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it went through for you. I heard you mention sometimes a smoking hot girl will reach out. So continue from there.
Yeah, so that, like I said, they call it pig butchering scam where they lead with an element of
Mm,
romance. So for guys, it's a smoking hot girl, and I've seen it for ladies. It's a smoking hot guy that'll reach out to you with some element of romance, and they convince you to help them, show you how to trade your money or how you can invest and those types of things. And you gotta really look
yeah.
back is do you really know this person? Have you ever met them in person? And even then, like I tell you, if I reach out to you and I'm telling you to invest in something, it's a scam. Avoid it. I've probably been hacked, my account's been duplicated. It's not really me. And just realize that there's not strangers on the internet that are out there looking at how they can make everybody rich. There's strangers on the internet figuring how they can take money from people, and it's unfortunate, but you got to protect yourself.
Yeah, definitely. And that's so real, man. And that'll kind of lead us. And I ask a couple more questions around scams, but afterwards, I want to go into meme coins because there's a lot of craziness, a lot of fun, but also a lot of danger in that space. So
Yeah,
well, before we transition to that, so I have a client right now. She was scammed through her Facebook account, lost her account. The scammer got money, like hundreds of dollars, out of multiple of her contacts. So on that front, let's say it's someone that you think you know. No, let's say you have someone close to you that you're afraid may be about to get scammed based off of something that they're bringing to you. Hey, such and such is running this program. I'm just going to put in this amount and they're going to give me this amount. So you know them, um,
Mhm.
but they're still not wanting to listen. So, what is your advice for those who have someone close that is likely about to get scammed, but they don't want to listen?
yeah. So I mean, the biggest thing you could do is try to partner them up with somebody that knows what's going on, somebody that's familiar with that type of scam. At the end of the day, I mean, you see, I think we've talked about at least one or two so far where we gave them every warning. This is why you don't need to do it, and they still did it.
Hmm.
And that's not just with the initial scam. A lot of these scams, like if you've got money in, and they're like, "Oh, if you want to take your money out, you have to pay more. You have to pay this fee
Hmm.
or something else." And they think, "Oh, if I just give them this, then I'll at least get my money back." And that's usually not the case, right? It's usually just it's trying to extend that scam as long as possible. So
Hmm.
um, that's why it's important to really just try to stress. I mean, all you can do is stress or if they're going to go through with it anyway, encourage them to start with as minimal as possible. Like the same
Yeah.
amount. If you're willing to lose that in a casino this weekend, then maybe try that out if you think it's real. But put it to the test, and don't just jump in. Um, and then same thing, like what happens is another way I've seen the scam play out is they'll put a few $100s into it. And then all of a sudden on this fake platform, they see this balance of that few hundred has turned into a few thousand. And then they're like,
Hmm.
oh crap, let me try to put more in. That's where the bigger scam comes in. And we're like, try to pull out your full balance. If you put in a few hundred, you can pull out a few thousand. That's great, but don't wait until you can pull it all. Don't just skip that and not try to pull it all out. And then you'll realize that it's a scam. So
Yeah.
it's unfortunate that some people just get so caught up or they're so believing that this is real that they'll do it even when you got friends and family telling them, no, don't do it. It's a scam. Um,
Yeah, man. And that's the thing. Like we can only do so much for those who have the autonomy to do whatever the heck they want to. So as we get ready to close out, let's talk about meme coins. So,
yeah.
if we've been paying attention to media over the last few months, two of the major ones have been the Hakatua coin and the Trump coin. Now, I know people who made a lot of money. I'm not going to say a lot, but who made money off of both of them.
Yeah.
But I also know people who lost a ton of money off of both of them. So, just from one end of the spectrum to the other, what's your insight when it comes to meme coins?
Yeah. So, meme coins are the biggest risk, but it does expose a lot of people to crypto. And meme coins do have the ability to add more utility as time goes on, but it's very speculative. You don't want to put a lot or your life savings into it. Like, as I mentioned before, similar to going to a casino. If I'm going to walk in a casino, if I go to Vegas this weekend, I lose $500. It's not the end of the world, right? I know that I could lose everything. And so that's the mindset you need to have when you're going into these. Because one Hawk 2 I had no, other than being famous for the video, right? Nothing in terms of crypto or anything else. And she just happened to partner with a team that seemed to have like fooled a lot of people that was doing some deceptive stuff, and they crashed. She
Hmm.
deleted her account for a while, right? And so that's one. And even the Trump coin, like Trump is not a crypto guy. He's maybe the president now, but and there, I think as a businessman, he's probably going to continue to add stuff to where that may build utility over time. But you got to ask yourself right now, whether you made money or lost money in that, if you're holding anything in that, you got to think, do I believe that more is going to come out of this than what it's worth right now? And if you don't believe that, then sell it, get out, take your loss and find something else you believe in. But meme
Hmm.
coins are highly speculative, strictly based on community. And then where's the adoption going to take place? I'll tell you right now. Look, I got a friend messaged me earlier because Rick Ross announced that he's putting out a meme coin called Boss. All right.
Hmm.
And it's all going to be the initial hype. There's going to be people that are going to make money, people that are going to lose money, same as before. Right. But if there's going to be any long term value in that, there's going to have to be more than just, oh, Rick launched that crypto. Right. And it's funny we were talking about it because the first crypto conference I held in Miami, we had him open up the conference.
Hmm.
And he did like 10 songs, to open up the conference. But even that, like hesitant. Am I going to put a little bit of money into it? I'm probably going to gamble with it. But am I going to bet my life savings that's going to make me a millionaire? Absolutely not. And that's where people need to be realistic with their
Yeah.
expectations.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Some people will say, no, never put your money into a meme coin. That's stupid. Like, if you do it the right way and you're strategic about it, you'll be okay. But
Yeah.
at the same time, like you say, don't go crazy throwing everything in it, hoping that this is going to be what gives you my come up. So, off that note, man, as we get ready to close out, what are some areas, what are some places, what are some things that are popping off that some people can support you, take advantage of what you have to offer? I know we have school, Learn Vault here, scrolling on the bottom, but
Yeah.
what are some other things you got going on?
Yeah, that's really, I mean, school is our biggest project we're working on. I got tired of, we were building a lot of educational tools for companies. And just like any startups, a lot of startups don't make it. And so that education was missing. So we're going to be doing a lot through there, refer people to it, invite them to that. Still running my podcast. Been running the podcast since 2018 called From No Crypto to No Crypto, from NO to KNOW.
Hmm.
So that's available. Or just connect with me. Go to blockchainwayne.com or find me on socials. On all socials, I have the blue check just because I get so many impersonations. So make sure you find the one with the verified account. But just hit me up if you got questions, comments, anything you need. Just hit me up. I'm always looking to teach more people, share the information, share the wealth. That's kind of what we do. Information is our wealth, right? That's what we got to share with people. And so that's it. And if you want to collaborate on anything, also hit me up as well through any of those channels. You can find us, and you can also check out the project that we've been working on for many years. FIO.net. FIO.net is we build tools that simplify the user experience in crypto. So I can point you to some of the wallets and exchanges where you can use our protocol and learn about how it works. And I think that's about it, man. Appreciate the time.
Well, that's what's up, man. I appreciate it as well. And I'll aim to for our Facebook, for our YouTube at least, add in all these links, all these resources, and the description. You guys definitely don't hesitate to reach out to get in contact with Wayne. If you may be a little timid and you don't want to go directly to him initially, you can ask me first, and I can kind of make the introduction, or I can get the information and bring it back to you. But he don't bite. He's a great guy. You got something else you want to add, man?
Yeah, one last thing. I forgot to mention this. I don't know why I forgot, but Wealth Explosion next month. So
Yes,
be in Fort Lauderdale.
definitely.
I'll be teaching about crypto, and I'll be hanging out there the whole time. I'm not just going there to talk. I'll be there the whole time as well. So if anybody's got questions, I'll be there.
Beautiful. And for some of those of you who've been watching my content, I've been promoting the Wealth Explosion here and there. We have right now, I want to say we're only accepting our general entry. That's a $1,700 and $1,750 ticket. A lot of knowledge, a lot of experience comes with that ticket. And I actually was just confirmed that we have a very high quality gentleman coming down out of Michigan that's going to be training as well. I think he was there the first time that you came down, Wayne. But the information, if you take it and implement it, can really help transform life, or your life, or the life of you pass the information on to. So
Yeah.
that's the Wealth Explosion. Reach out. That's going to be the 20th through the 23rd of next month, down in Fort Lauderdale at the Weston Resort, Weston Beachfront Resort, I think is what it's called. Anyways, guys, do not hesitate to reach out. Let's thank Wayne again for being here. I appreciate you, man. We'll definitely be in touch. I'm going to get you doing some updates on the website. So I'll get you an updated version of your page that you can use to go out and promote, possibly get some additional people to come to the Wealth Explosion. But off that note, man, that's a wrap for this
All
morning.
right.
And we'll be seeing you. I'm gonna close out with the audience, put you backstage, and I'll come back and close out with you. All right.
Sounds good. All right.
All right, man. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
All right, guys. So that was another episode, Legacy Dialogues, and we got a lot of great information from Wayne Marcel. Do not hesitate to reach out to him. Reach out to myself if you need that connect, need that introduction. But check him out on this on the school platform, LearnVault, and we'll be able to get you connected with the information you need to be able to get to where you want to get to in life. That note, we'll be back tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. We're gonna make a little pivot. The young lady that I'm gonna be having in, she is not fully in the entrepreneurial space. She's not in the financial space like a lot of my past guests have been, but she'll be able to bring a wealth of information. Off that note, we're out. See you guys soon. Gotta take care.